We ready? I guess call the meeting to order of the Planning Commission. I think Mr. Inslee will be chairing today.
Yeah, I believe Phil, our chairperson, is on vacation and out, so I guess from this point on, I'll take care of tonight's meeting.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
If all members are okay with that. Great.
Okay.
We have affirmation. Thank you. Welcome to the Planning Commission of Sykesville September 6th meeting. Thanks everybody for attending. First item on the agenda is the review and approval of the July 5th meeting minutes. I was not present at that meeting, but all who were present, I believe, are...
You know, actually, I didn't realize Brandon was also absent,
Okay.
so we probably don't have a quorum.
Yeah, I don't think we have a quorum for that.
Do not have a quorum, so we'll hold this till October.
All right, without a quorum, we're going to pass on that. One item down, a few more to go. Next, we will go over the county updates. Turn the floor over to Claire.
How's it going?
Hello.
All right, so just brief updates as always. With the comprehensive rezoning, we are finishing this process with the ag and conservation districts. The commissioners have been working through the text, and it is going to public hearing sometime this month. I was away last week when it was scheduled, so I can get that date to you if anyone's interested in watching or commenting. The 2022 fall amendment to the Water and Sewer Master Plan, the deadline for applications was September 1st. That'll likely be our last amendment prior to the triennial update. The CTP tour is scheduled for Thursday, October 13th, and that will be in person in the county office building in the Reagan Room, and that's at 2 p.m. And then the Transportation Master Plan will be kicking off with the Planning Commission in, I believe, September 20th. That's our day meeting in September. If not, then it'll be pushed. I think that's it for you guys. Any questions?
Great, done. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Schoolhouse Overlook Plaque.
Yep. So forgive me, I'm going to talk, I'll say a lot here coming up, but I just want to give you guys as much information as possible. So quick overview of this project. So the property owner of the parcel is planning a major subdivision from 1 into 5 lots, 5 single family lots that are between 3 and 4 acres each. So the preliminary plan for this subdivision is currently undergoing development review process with the county, and it will need to be approved by this body at a later meeting. But at this time, the Planning Commission is just being asked to make a recommendation to Town Council regarding the adequacy of the public facilities that are going to be servicing this area. So, quick overview. So our code, Chapter 145-5, says the Planning Commission, their first review in this, or excuse me, their first role in this review process is an evaluation of those public facilities. So in this case, that would include the Town of Sykesville Police Department, Town of Sykesville Public Works, County Public Schools, County Bureau of Utilities, and the Sykesville Freedom District Fire Department. So there's been either written or verbal correspondence between town staff and each of those departments regarding their ability to adequately serve this area. So I'm going to quickly run through a summary of each of those correspondence just so we know. The Town of Sykesville Police Department said they were able to serve the proposed subdivision, no problem. Town of Sykesville Public Works said that they were able to serve the area, including trash and recycling pickup, with the condition that the developer creates a specified area or enclosure at the bottom of the use in common driveway where it meets Schoolhouse Road, where the trash receptacles or a dumpster could be placed. That way they don't have to go all the way up the use in common driveway. And Public Works said that they will not be providing snowplow services though for the use in common driveway. Bureau of Utilities, they said that they were able to serve the subdivision. Right now it's for sewer only, and that's because the plans are showing private wells for water. But just some quick extra information on this so you guys have the context. So the property is currently located within the Freedom Existing and Priority Water Service area, but again the plans show private wells. So basically the plan for the subdivision is contradicting the county's water and sewer master plan, which is going to prevent approval from the county side. So basically they have two options. They can either change their plan to hook it up to public water, or they can apply for an amendment to the water and sewer master plan to be removed from the water service area. But at this time, it's my understanding that they want to keep it as private wells, so move forward with the plan as is, but they want to run some tests first to make sure that they can actually get the wells there before they apply to be removed from the water service area. So as Claire mentioned, the deadline for the fall amendment's already passed. Not really sure when the next amendment is going to come through, so it might be a little bit before they know, and we know one way or the other if it's going to stay as is or if it's going to go to public water, but they want to keep it as is. They just need to confirm that they're able to do so. But so that's just for water. Sewer, they're going to stay on public sewer though. Next one, public schools. So by using the county standard, the Carroll County Adequate Public Facilities and Concurrency Management Ordinance, none of the schools were considered to be inadequate based on enrollment projections, except for Sykesville Middle School in the year 2027. But there is a redistricting committee that has been meeting since January of this year to alleviate or provide relief for overcrowding in schools in Southern Carroll County. So hopefully that will alleviate any issues before we reach that 2027 projection. And practically speaking, when I had a conversation with the county schools facility management team, they did say that 5 new lots isn't really going to impact these projections one way or the other anyway. But regardless, by 2027, hopefully we will have something figured out and Sykesville Middle will not be inadequate based on the enrollment projections. And finally, the Sykesville Freedom District Fire Department. So I've had conversations with the fire chief, Ed Rutch, over there, and that didn't yield any concerns for their ability to service this area if an emergency were to arise. So with that, town staff is suggesting that the commission makes a motion to recommend that council finds the public facilities serving this area to be adequate with any of the conditions outlined that were outlined in the correspondence between town staff and those facility agencies. So sorry, I know that was a lot of information. Any questions?
Several questions for you. So from Reed, it appears we have adequate facilities with the exception of water, because water is still an unknown.
Water is an unknown. So as it stands, it's my understanding that the county can service them with public water if they choose to go that route. And currently they are on the county master plan to be serviced.
So then I'm assuming that it comes down to a dollars.
Right. That's the idea. So
Understand. So if this body were to approve it, we could recommend to the council, not approve, but recommend to the council adequate facilities with the exception of water.
Right.
So we can carve that out until we get a better understanding
Sure, yes.
on this project.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. This parcel has been in front of us before,
Yeah, it's,
several times?
yeah, it's a
Through
small-
different ownership groups? So we're talking about the hilltop?
Yep.
Yeah,
Again?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, with a use in common driveway, which the town does not like.
Right, not crazy.
Or does not recommend.
Sure,
But that is not in front of us today.
that's right.
Okay. And fire can adequately serve that, but are we sure about the roadway at this point that is a use in common and the sizing? So we can get an adequate public facilities from a fire department.
So when I discussed this with the fire department, the fire chief veteran, he had the plans in front of him.
Okay.
He told me he had a copy of them and told me that he didn't see any issues from his perspective.
Great.
So,
Okay. And it helped me out here, a little history this made prior to you. I looked to the commission and also, was this the last iteration of this property from this developer? Was 4 or 5 lots that
Yes.
he came and discussed?
Yes.
And we were, it was not a decision meeting, was it not? It was just kind of an informational meeting?
Correct.
I'm trying to remember, so.
Well, I believe there was a plan approved. Or am I thinking of,
I think that was before me. So I think this is the first I've seen the Schoolhouse Road plan.
The last I remember of it was
it was
it was something much different. It was a
Okay.
big, but this was a while ago.
Yeah.
That my involvement was.
There've been a few things, and that's why, may I?
This plan was brought to you guys though.
Yes, I thought so.
As an information.
Yes.
I
strictly-
thought
It was strictly just,
For a late.
I
yeah,
apologize.
they were in the very beginning planning mode, and it was just presented to us in a very similar fashion to this. I remember five houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because before that it was like
Yeah, okay, now.
Right.
Yeah,
It was
I wasn't here
huge.
for
Yeah.
that.
The previous iteration
I
was
recall
huge.
seeing something that said 5 houses. They were like,
Yeah, but this is a conservation zone property.
Yes.
Great, so, next steps in the process. Once, assuming we make a recommendation, what are the next steps in the process for this body?
So following the recommendation, then council would then approve public facilities or not. And then after that, then it would come back to this body for approval of the preliminary plan.
And then for preliminary final, correct?
Yes.
Any questions from Planning Commission?
The question I have was about the water. And that's, something, obviously, it's beyond our scope to tell them what to do or whatever. But we really can't, like, I agree with you, we can't really give our approval or our recommendation without knowing what they're doing, so. Like you said, can we carve that out?
Yeah, I think if the town is okay with it in all the adequate facilities, with the exception of water supply, then if we're so moved to go ahead and make that recommendation with the exception of water being a carve out until at which time that comes back in front of this body. Are we okay with that?
Yes, no, is this property within the town limits?
Yes.
Yes.
This is the property where we did the annexation for that pie.
yep.
Are wells allowed
I have a well.
on new wells?
Oh.
Within the town?
That's part of what he said, it's kind of in conflict, wells are kind of in conflict
So,
with,
From a
Very
town,
much so, because I live on top of the hill and I wanted to drill a well and they wouldn't let me.
from a town perspective,
It was cheaper.
Yeah, I discussed this with Joe, and he said there's nothing that he knows of and nothing that I could find that would prevent
Wow.
us from allowing them wells if that's what they want to do.
other than the county.
Right,
Right.
right. But from a town, from
Understand, but we can
Yeah.
follow the county with
Exactly.
that if we want to, and that's one of the reasons I want to carve this out, because it is, if we are going to move forward, I want to carve out the water supply.
Sure.
Just because it is an unknown and where
Right.
the county's, what the county's position is on that, and what the developer's position will be.
So in fear of asking a really dumb question, is there any impact that's ever done to assess whether or not by putting in 5 wells, what kind of impact it would have on other homes in the nearby area that also have wells? And so the homes off of Harmon, and then I know my home, all have wells. And so how do you know, is there some sort of a process that we would go through if they were able to figure out whatever they want to figure out with the county?
So off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I can double check with the developers, because they did mention again that they're gonna do some studies to make sure that wells are even possible there before they can move forward. So I can double check with them to see if some sort of study or like that is included.
Yeah.
And then get that back to you.
We have a pretty large aquifer here,
Okay.
Yeah.
so, but in any event. So, is everybody okay?
Yes.
Then in that case, I'll make a motion. I'm going to make a motion that we recommend to council that this property has adequate public facilities based on all the reports provided to the Planning Commission today, with the exception about water supply to the property. We're going to carve that out and until the developer and the county can work further into that situation.
Janet, did you get all that?
I also have a recording, so I'm good.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And all members voted to the positive. Great.
As an aside, and this has something to do with this, but really a broader question, there are other developments going on in town in reference to these impacts, and every single one of the impacts is development specific, correct? There's never a view of looking at things more holistically in nature. I'm asking because of if Sykesville Middle is a problem with 5 homes, is it going to be a problem with 47 or 100 or 5 or whatever?
There are, at least over my time here, there are, every year we have to provide reporting to the county. And the county would get that anyway through the permitting process. And those reports come back to us to approve every year in the annual report. And they have that information. So there are others looking at that information from a holistic approach, I guess. Looking like, oh, here's what we have, total available lots left to deliver in the 5-7 year plan, and here's how many permits we have. And they kind of look at that. It's interesting to note where this has come back where they have signified a specific year as a potential for overcrowding. Not the year before, not the year after, but only that year,
So,
5 years
yeah,
in the future.
So as it stands, the projections currently only
Yeah.
go up to 2027.
Okay.
So that,
That might be why.
In 2026, it is listed as approaching inadequate,
Okay.
but not quite inadequate until it reaches the 2027 projections. But again, hopefully that redistricting committee will help alleviate any of that.
To answer your question, yes. I mean, we certainly locally look at it. We're allowed to know what's happening on our borders, but the county is looking at it on a much larger picture. All right, next item on the agenda, Mayor and Town Council referral draft sign ordinance.
Yes, so basically, I guess this is a product of a council meeting, I guess, where it was suggested that the size of some of the election signs were possibly too large in the downtown historic district, which has led to a review of our existing sign ordinance. So overall, I guess the hope of this new ordinance, or the hope is that this new ordinance will help maintain a more uniform and orderly environment when it comes to signage around town by introducing some sign limitations and clarifying some certain ambiguities that exist in the current ordinance. It's also hoped that this new ordinance will be compliant with the law prohibiting restrictions on content and messaging of signs, which came out of a 2015 Supreme Court decision. And I want to point out that commissioners are not being asked to act on the draft ordinance this evening, but this was simply an opportunity to begin discussions, introduce the ordinance to everybody so you become familiar with it between now and possibly the next meeting. at which point, broader discussions can occur and a recommendation can be made if you guys are comfortable with it at that point. But again, this is more so just an opportunity to introduce the ordinance and get it in front of everybody, so.
And this came as a result or out of political sign and time to tighten up. And who did the tightening?
That was Joe.
Okay.
Well, it was drafted by staff, Joe, and reviewed by our town attorney.
Yeah.
Got it.
And they did some
So
tweaks.
it's been through the ringer already.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
Great. Okay, that's good to know.
And we've gone, on the council, we've gone through it twice already in an open forum session. And what we really want to know is if you all have any other opinions in reference to any of the language.
And from requires no public hearing here.
Right.
But it does at council, assuming we make that, when it goes to council for the final, it would get a
Correct.
public hearing at that point, official public hearing. Okay, got it. Well, what did you guys go over in council? I mean, what were the hang-ups, the goods, the bads?
So sizing of the signs, location of the signs, and what we're allowed to put on the signs were all things that were incorporated. Also, there's a difference between what's a temporary sign, what's a permanent sign. That's now clearly articulated in the ordinance. Those were the major items that were out there, and all of the comments that when I reviewed this again today, everything that we had been talking about has been incorporated into the latest draft that we have. And, I'm not a pro at ordinances, and I'm not sure how many ordinances you all look at. But it might be helpful just to explain what the bold text or what the blue text means, what the capitalized text means, because that's typically where the changes are, correct? So I don't know if someone wants to do that or you want.
Yeah, I think that would be very helpful, is certainly for me as I review. There's the color one.
So for example, on the first page at the very, under 180-89 signs, you see all capitalized text. That's a change that's been incorporated. You see the strikeout language. That's obviously text that's being removed. It's being removed and being replaced by text that is capitalized. And so you can see that we're trying to simplify the ordinance as well. And so we'd be interested in any feedback you have about the particular language. And you'll see that throughout the rest of the document.
And the blue is the additional, correct? The add?
That's additional language.
Yes.
The capped is replacing striked out language.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was important that we went over that because I don't know how often you all are looking at these ordinances.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Are there any questions or any items for discussion from the Planning Commission? We understand what's in front of us. I think it's best, if we have any questions, ask now, but certainly take this, review this. Council is looking to us to make that recommendation on this clarification, and I would be prepared next meeting to come and make that recommendation if that's what we're.
And come with questions too.
Or come with questions,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, of course.
One of the good things about how we're set up is we've got a council member right here,
Yeah.
be able to help us, give us a little insight to what's going on, so, and in the audience too. No further questions. Any other item anybody wants to discuss, or? Great, we'll be real easy about that, I guess. With that said, time to adjourn the meeting. Make the recommendation we adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Great.
I'll go through this, but
Did you
one of
want
the
to
things
do
that I
that?
saw earlier,
I haven't all.
Sounds like
anybody
can put a
I
sign.
didn't think I'd be doing this.